The bus groans like an old beast climbing through the late afternoon traffic, each stop jerking the crowd closer together. You stand near the back, one hand gripping a silver pole polished smooth by 1,000 tired palms. The air smells of rain-soaked coats, cheap cologne, and impatience. A single empty seat glares from the middle aisle, half lit by a slice of winter sunlight that somehow found its way through the streaked window. You could take it. Your knees ache from 12 hours of scrubbing marble floors at the state courthouse. Your hands tremble slightly from the vibration of the engine. But when the young woman boards, briefcase in one hand, phone in the other, heels clicking against the rubber floor, you move aside and gesture toward that seat. "Ma'am," you say softly, your voice rough but warm. "You can have it." She hesitates, glancing at your uniform, faded navy blue with a stitched name patch, E. Green. Something about your politeness throws her off. People rarely look up from their screens, much less make eye contact. The driver coughs impatiently. The passengers shuffle. Finally, she nods and sits down. A murmur ripples through the bus. You hear snippets. "Still trying to impress folks," someone mutters. "Old fool," another whispers. You don't react. You've heard worse. The woman, polished, confident, maybe mid-40s, adjusts her blazer, pretending to scroll through her phone. But there's a faint crease between her brows. Something about your voice, maybe, or the way you stand straight despite the world bending around you. Outside, the rain thickens. The bus wipers squeal back and forth like restless metronomes. You steady yourself, clutching your dented lunchbox, the same one your late wife gave you when you first took the janitor job 25 years ago. Inside, there's one cold biscuit left from breakfast. You'd meant to eat it, but somehow didn't. The driver brakes hard at a red light. You catch your reflection in the fogged window. Deep lines around your eyes, the ghost of a smile that never quite forms. You remember another bus, another rainstorm long ago, before your hair turned silver. You shake off the memory. The woman clears her throat. "You didn't have to do that," she says without looking up. "Wasn't hard to do," you answer. "My mama always said, if you see someone standing longer than you, your seat's already taken." A few passengers chuckle quietly, unsure if they're laughing with you or at you. You don't mind. You've learned that dignity doesn't need an audience. At the next stop, a man in a hoodie snickers. "Guess he thinks being polite's gonna get him promoted," he says loud enough for half the bus to hear. The driver doesn't intervene. No one does. They never do. You smile faintly. "Son," you say, "I already got the best job in the world, the kind that lets me sleep at night." Laughter breaks out again, but this time it's uneasy. The woman in the blazer lowers her phone. She studies your face now, her gaze searching, like she's seen that calm before, maybe in a picture, maybe in a story she'd forgotten. The bus jolts forward. Someone coughs. Outside, neon signs flicker to life. Laundromats, pawn shops, diners that never close. A memory flickers. Two, a younger version of you standing on another bus. Watching chaos unfold, people shouting, fists flying. A flash of red hair. A girl crying. But that was decades ago. You blink it away. The woman speaks again, softer this time. "Do you ride this road often?" "Every day after my shift. Home 6 stops down," she nods. "You work at the courthouse, right?" You glance down at your badge. "Yes, ma'am. Custodial. Mostly nights." Something shifts in her expression. A flicker of emotion she hides quickly. "That's a hard job," she murmurs. You shrug. "Hard don't scare me. It's honest." There's a pause, a silence that feels heavier than the hum of the bus. Then her phone buzzes, and she answers briskly, her tone suddenly official. "Yes, I'll be there in 10. Tell them to hold the committee vote. Committee vote." You catch the words but don't react. Politics isn't your world. You're just trying to make it home before the next downpour. At the next stop, 2 teenagers push in, laughing, one carrying a basketball. They bump your shoulder without apology. You steady yourself again. The woman watches, her jaw tight. "Kids these days," someone mutters. No respect, you almost smile. "They'll learn." "World's a good teacher." The driver calls out the next stop. She glances toward the window, then back at you. For the first time, she smiles, Faint, unsure, but real. The bus lurches again and the lights flicker. For half a second, you both freeze, her phone light catching the outline of your face, eyes tired yet peaceful. Something clicks behind her eyes like recognition half remembered. But then the moment passes and the bus moves on. Outside, thunder grumbles low and distant. Inside, the woman sits quietly, fingers brushing her phone screen but eyes far away, as if chasing a memory she can't quite place. You stand there, unaware, gently humming an old hymn under your breath, the same one your wife used to sing on Sunday mornings. When the bus hits a puddle and the water splashes up the window, it catches your reflection again. And for a fleeting second, you see the boy you once were, standing proud in his Sunday suit, before life became a long shift with a mop. The woman exhales slowly, gaze still on you. Her lips part slightly as if to speak, but she doesn't. She just whispers, almost to herself, "It can't be him." The bus rattles on, carrying two lives linked by a past neither one fully remembers yet. Outside, the rain begins to fall harder, softening the city's noise until all that's left is the steady rhythm of motion and the unspoken tension between grace given and memory returning. The rain hasn't stopped. It just changes its rhythm, softer now, like it's listening. The bus sways with each turn, and the passengers rock in silent choreography. You stand steady, hand gripping the pole, eyes half closed, the kind of balance that comes from years of night work and worn-out joints. A man 2 seats up stares at you over the top of his newspaper. His look isn't curiosity. It's the kind that measures worth. You're used to that, too. The woman in the blazer, the one whose seat you gave up, shifts slightly, tucking her phone into her bag. Her posture is perfect, but her eyes are restless. Every few minutes, they flick toward you. "Rough day?" she finally asks. You chuckle quietly. "Same as most. Floors don't clean themselves." There's a polite smile on her lips, but her mind seems elsewhere. The driver's radio crackles with dispatch chatter, something about downtown flooding. The word capital catches her attention, and she checks her watch. You notice the gold band glinting in the dim light. No wedding ring, but there's a faint tan line where one used to be. A young man boards, earbuds in, backpack half-zipped, and shoulders his way past. Mumbling, "Move, old man!" You shift without complaint. He takes the pole beside you, oblivious. The woman frowns, ready to say something, but you just smile faintly and shake your head. "It's all right," you whisper. "Some lessons teach themselves." She studies you again, not just as a polite stranger now, but as if trying to decode something deeper. A small boy near the front drops his toy truck, and it rolls down the aisle, bumping against your shoe. You crouch slowly, knees creaking, and pick it up. "Here you go, champ," you say, handing it back with a smile. "Thank you, sir," the boy's mother says, surprised by your gentleness. The boy grins shyly. The woman watches that small moment, the easy kindness, the patience, and something in her expression softens. People around her seem to thaw too in tiny ways. The laughter has quieted. The man with the newspaper clears his throat awkwardly and looks away. Even the young commuter who mocked you earlier keeps his eyes down now. Still, there's one passenger who doesn't look away, a middle-aged man in a cheap suit near the back. He keeps glancing between you and the woman, curiosity twitching in his eyes. Maybe he recognizes her, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just likes stories that don't make sense yet. The bus groans as it pulls over again. More people get off, the crowd thins. You stay standing even though there's now plenty of space. Habit, respect. A lifetime of waiting until others are settled. The woman sighs. "You can sit now," she says softly. "I'm fine," you reply. "Old bones do better standing sometimes." Her lips part, as though to argue, but she stops. "Suit yourself." You catch her faint smile in the window reflection. Small, almost secret. Outside, a billboard flashes. "Vote for change. Senator Rebecca Langford." Her face, larger than life, beams down from it, confident, composed. You don't notice, but she does. Her stomach tightens. She glances at you, this elderly janitor with a kind face and steady eyes, and something in her memory sparks again. A child's scream. A bus window shattered. A strong arm pulling her to the floor. She grips the edge of her seat, heart pounding. No, she thinks. It can't be him. That was so long ago. He'd be... But your voice cuts through her thoughts. Storm's coming heavier tonight. You might want to take that jacket off when you step out. Silk don't do well with rain. She blinks, startled that you noticed. You sound like my father, she says before she can stop herself. You smile faintly. Then your father had good sense. The words hang there, heavy and quiet. A moment later, the driver calls, "Courthouse, stop!" You reach up and pull the yellow cord. The woman looks at you, startled again. You work at the courthouse? Yes, ma'am. Been keeping those floors shiny since before they built that new wing. Her throat tightens. She knows that building well. It's where she's scheduled to testify tomorrow about her new bill on workers' rights. The irony hits her like a whisper from fate. As the bus slows, a drop of rain slides down the window, tracing her reflection beside yours. Her expensive blazer, your faded uniform. Two sides of a country that rarely touch. She watches you step off into the mist, lunchbox in hand, head bowed slightly against the wind. The doors hiss shut, but she doesn't move. Not yet. Ma'am, you getting off? The driver asks. She hesitates. Her phone buzzes again, another aide reminding her of the next meeting, but her eyes stay on the shrinking figure walking toward the courthouse steps. I'll take the next. Stop, she says finally. As the bus rolls forward, her reflection lingers in the glass, thoughtful, conflicted. The man with the cheap suit glances at her, then at the billboard outside with her own smiling face. He frowns, confused, trying to connect what he's seeing. She doesn't notice him. She's too busy staring at the old man disappearing into the rain. The faint hum of a gospel tune echoing in her mind, the same one her father used to sing when he thought no one was listening, and beneath that memory, another one stirs. Buried deep, sealed by decades of forgetting, a girl on a bus, a riot outside, a hand reaching out through the chaos. The thunder rumbles again. She leans back, eyes glistening, whispering to herself, "If it really is him, why didn't he say anything?" But the question hangs unanswered as the bus carries her into the storm, leaving behind a mystery decades in the making. The courthouse echoes with the kind of quiet that comes from power, marble floors, polished brass, and a faint hum of conversations that always stop when the wrong person walks by. You move through it like a ghost who knows his place. Mop bucket rolling beside you, shoes squeaking softly against the stone. Every step is memory. You've cleaned this building for 40 years, watched faces rise and fall, cases come and go. Same halls, different truths. You hum while you work, that same old gospel tune that has outlived every decade you've seen. The one your mama sang over cornbread and prayers. "Mr. Harris?" A young security guard nods as he passes. "You still at it, man? Thought you'd have retired by now." You grin. "If I retire, who's gonna make sure y'all don't slip on your own pride?" The guard laughs, shaking his head. "Ain't nobody like you, Mr. H. You push your mop into the judge's corridor, the one that always smells like perfume and politics." That's when you see it. A new nameplate gleaming beside the hearing room door. Senator Rebecca Langford, committee session. 10 a.m., the same woman from the bus. You pause, letting the mop rest against the wall. For a second, you think of saying something, maybe even walking in. But then you remember the last time you saw her. A terrified little girl clutching her mother's coat during a riot on the old city line. You were driving the same bus back then when glass shattered and fire swallowed the sky. She was crying. You pulled her down under the seat, shielded her when a bottle burst through the window. You never even told her your name. You thought she wouldn't remember. Maybe that's why you didn't say anything today. Some memories are better left quiet, at least until they're needed. You keep cleaning. The door opens. "Mr. Harris?" You look up. It's her aide, a young man with slick hair and a Bluetooth in his ear. "Senator Langford asked for some water before the meeting." You nod and fetch it, slow but steady. When you hand it over, you glimpse her inside the room, standing before a panel of men in suits, her tone calm but firm. "Workers deserve protection," she's saying. "My father used to tell me, the measure of a nation isn't how it treats the powerful, it's how it treats the people who clean up after them." The words hit you like a soft punch. You freeze in the doorway, unseen. For a second, your throat tightens, because you remember her father. You remember that day on the bus years ago, when he was dragged out for standing up for equal pay. The day she lost him. The day the riots began, and now she's here, fighting for the same thing he died believing in. You leave the water quietly on the counter. She doesn't see you. But when you turn to go, your lunchbox slips. The lid pops open and an old photo tumbles out. It lands face up on the marble. A little girl on a bus. A man beside her smiling gently. The corner burned, the edges faded. You stoop to pick it up, heart racing, but her aide sees it first. "Is this yours?" he asks, handing it to you. You nod quickly, tucking it away. "Old picture. Just a memory." He shrugs and walks off. But you can feel it. Someone else saw it too. The senator. Her voice falters mid-sentence as she spots you through the half-open door. Her words stumble, then recover. "Excuse me, gentlemen. I'll be right back." She steps into the hall, her heels clicking fast. "Sir, wait. You stop." Slowly turn. Were you driving a bus once?" she asks, her voice low, careful. You look at her for a long moment. The years between you both stretch thin, like rain-streaked glass. "Yes, ma'am." "Long time ago." Her eyes glisten. "On the east side? Near Jefferson Avenue?" You nod once. "That's right. Rough day, that one." Her lips part, trembling. "You," she breathes. "You saved me." "My father? He tried to thank you, but..." You lift a hand gently. "Ma'am, sometimes gratitude's just silence that lasts a lifetime." She can't speak. You turn back toward your cart, but as you start to walk away, she calls out, soft but strong. "Mr. Harris, was it?" You pause. "I'm testifying tomorrow about fair wages, retirement funds, dignity for custodial staff. You should be there." You nod slowly. "Wouldn't miss it." She smiles, tears barely held back. When you're gone, she stands alone in the hall, breathing hard. Her aide rushes over. "Senator, are you okay?" She wipes her eyes quickly. "Yes, just realizing some debts can't be paid with laws." The aide looks confused, but she doesn't explain. She just turns back toward the courtroom, more determined than before. Meanwhile, down the corridor you hum again. The same song from the bus. And for the first time in decades, it doesn't sound like a prayer. It sounds like peace. Morning breaks gray and heavy, the kind of light that feels tired before it even begins. The courthouse hums with movement, cameras, reporters, interns with clipboards. Somewhere upstairs, the senator's press team rehearses talking points about justice, equality, and the dignity of work. Downstairs, in the maintenance wing, a different meeting is taking place. You sit quietly at the end of a long table, lunchbox in your lap, surrounded by men in suits who don't look up from their papers. The HR officer, young, nervous, clears her throat. "Mr. Harris," she says gently, We've been instructed to restructure our staff. Budget cuts, automation upgrades. I'm so sorry, but today will be your last shift." You nod slowly. No argument, no anger. Just a breath that sinks deep into your chest and stays there. The officer looks uncomfortable. "You've been with us almost 40 years. You'll receive a letter of recommendation, of course." You smile faintly. "That's kind of you. But letters don't mop floors." There's a silence that no one wants to fill. The meeting ends quickly. Polite handshakes, forced sympathy, the kind of corporate sorrow that vanishes as soon as the door shuts. You wheel your cart down the hallway one last time. The mop water ripples with each bump. Everything looks sharper today. The shine of the marble, the echo of your own footsteps, the smell of lemon polish. When you pass the committee room, the sign outside reads, "Public Hearing on the Fair Labor Act, Senator Rebecca Langford, Chair." You pause. For a second, you consider walking in, just to hear her speak. But then you remember what pride feels like. You turn away. Upstairs, the chamber fills. Cameras roll. The senator sits tall at the front, but her eyes keep drifting toward the door, waiting for someone who doesn't come. Her aide leans in. "Senator, we're live in 30 seconds. She nods, but her voice is quieter than usual when she begins. "This bill isn't about numbers or politics," she says. "It's about people. The invisible hands that make this country move." Her tone grows stronger with each word. "Last night I met one of them. A man who's worked here longer than most of us have been alive. No pension. No recognition. Just decades of quiet service," the audience murmurs. She looks out across the room. The press, the aides, the staffers, all waiting for her next line. "I realized," she continues, "that justice doesn't start in this building. It cleans this building. It sweeps its floors before we ever walk in." Her words land like thunder. At that exact moment, you push through the double doors at the back of the room, late, tired, still in your uniform. You stand there quietly, unnoticed by most, but not by her. Her eyes widen slightly. She doesn't miss a beat. "I'd like to invite someone special to stand with me," she says suddenly, breaking from her script. The cameras swing toward her, confused. The moderator frowns. "Senator, this isn't on the agenda." "It is now," she says firmly. "Mr. Elijah Harris, would you join me up front?" The room goes still. You freeze mid-step, unsure if you heard right. Someone in the audience whispers your name. You walk slowly down the aisle, every head turning. Flashbulbs begin to pop. "Senator, who is this man?" a reporter calls out. She smiles faintly. "Someone who taught me what integrity looks like, long before I ever learned what power was." You reach the front, heart pounding. "Ma'am," you whisper, "this ain't necessary." "Yes," she interrupts softly. "It is," she faces the crowd. "This man saved my life when I was a child, and today I learned the system he worked for his entire life just threw him out like he never mattered." "That ends here." The room explodes in murmurs. Cameras flash brighter. She turns back to you. "Mr. Harris, may I ask you one question? What kept you showing up all these years?" You look at her, eyes wet, voice rough with humility. "Because somebody's got to keep the floors clean so folks like you can stand tall." The silence after that isn't empty. It's sacred. Reporters exchange glances. The aides fumble their notes. The HR officer from earlier stares down at her phone, pale. The senator straightens her shoulders. "Then let's make sure men like you never have to mop for respect again." The crowd bursts into applause. You try to step back, overwhelmed, but she stops you with a hand on your arm. "Stay," she says quietly. "This time you don't have to stand in the back." The camera light blinks red. The headline writes itself, and somewhere in the rafters of that marble chamber the echo of a gospel tune seems to rise again, faint, steady, eternal. Rain lashes against the courthouse windows that night, streaking the glass like veins of silver. The city hums beneath it, sirens, tires, thunder. But inside your apartment, there's only the quiet rattle of an old ceiling fan and the steady rhythm of your breathing. You sit in your kitchen, uniform still on, staring at the termination letter folded neatly beside a chipped mug of tea. The words blur a little, not because of age or eyesight, but because they just don't make sense. You gave that place your life, 4 decades of it, and now it's just, "We regret to inform you." You sigh, rubbing your temples. "You've survived worse, wars, riots, recessions, but somehow this one stings deeper. Maybe because you thought dignity could outlast politics. Your phone buzzes once. "Unknown number, Mr. Harris?" a woman's voice says. It's low, composed, the kind of voice used to commanding attention. "This is Senator Langford." You blink. "Ma'am, you sure you got the right Elijah Harris?" She laughs softly. "The man who gave up his seat and half his pride yesterday?" "Yes, I'm sure. You smile despite yourself." "Well, I guess that's me. I owe you an apology," she says. "I didn't realize what was happening downstairs." "You shouldn't have been let go." "That's all right," you murmur. "World's full of things that shouldn't happen." There's a pause. Then, "Mr. Harris, may I visit you tomorrow?" You hesitate. "Senator, I live in a walk-up with no elevator." "Might not be your kind of place." "I don't care about the stairs," she says. "I care about the truth." Morning comes. She arrives alone, No aides, no cameras. Just a coat soaked from the drizzle and eyes that carry something heavier than politics. She stands awkwardly in your doorway until you wave her in. Your apartment is small, clean, lined with old photos. A younger you in military uniform, a smiling woman with braids, 2 kids holding melting ice cream. She looks around, quiet. You have a beautiful family. Had, you correct gently. Kids grown, wife gone. Just me and the ghosts now. She turns to you, serious. Mr. Harris, I looked into your file last night. You weren't part of any budget cut. You raise an eyebrow. No? They marked you as non-compliant with modernization protocol. You frown. That's a fancy way of saying I wouldn't scan my hand every morning, ain't it? Yes, you chuckle sadly. Didn't like that machine. Felt wrong. Like clocking in meant proving I existed. She nods slowly. I think they used it as an excuse. There's a memo that says your attitude disrupts efficiency. It's dated the day before I spoke on your behalf. The air thickens. So you're saying, you whisper. They fired me because you mentioned my name? Because you embarrassed the people who let you go, she says. You sit back, stunned. Well, ain't that something? She looks down at her hands, gripping her phone. I can fix this, Mr. Harris, but I need proof the memo came from the facilities director. You shake your head. Proof? I'm a janitor, ma'am. Closest thing I've got to proof is a key ring. Her eyes light up. A key ring? You pull it out. An old brass ring loaded with decades of keys. To every floor, every room. Even the old storage under the west wing. She stands. Show me. The 2 of you move through the courthouse after hours. The halls are dark, echoing. Your flashlight cuts across plaques, flags, and polished stone. You stop before a rusted door marked Archives. Do not enter. This one? She asks. You nod. Used to store everything before the cloud got fancy. Inside, the air smells like dust and old typewriter ink. Rows of filing cabinets stretch into the dark. You kneel and open a drawer marked Admin 1990-2020. Her phone light glows white over your hands as you flip through folders until one label catches your eye. Harris E. You pull it out and something flutters loose. A letter, dated 30 years ago. It's typed on yellowing paper. The ink faded but legible. You scan the words and your breath catches. Recommendation. Elijah Harris. This man saved multiple passengers during the 1979 Capitol bus riot, including my father, Senator William Langford. You stare, stunned. Langford. Your father. She nods slowly. He died a year after that. I was 7. He told me once about a man who pulled him out of the flames, said he'd never forget his voice. You swallow hard. Guess he didn't forget after all. She smiles faintly. And now I know why your voice felt so familiar. You look down at the letter again, folded, buried, almost erased by time. That's your proof, she says softly. Not just of corruption, as of legacy, you exhale, shaking your head in disbelief. All these years, I thought I was just mopping floors. She meets your eyes. You were building foundations. For the first time in a long while, you laugh, deep, honest, unguarded. Well, ma'am, you say, tucking the letter into her folder, let's see if those foundations still hold up under truth. Outside, the rain has stopped. A thin ray of dawn stretches across the marble steps like a spotlight warming up for the next act. The next morning begins not with sunlight, but with the glow of breaking news. Every screen in the city, coffee shops, lobbies, phone feeds, flashes the same headline. Senator Langford accused of nepotism after secret meeting with fired janitor. Your face, creased, humble, unready for fame, fills the thumbnail beside hers. You're sitting at your kitchen table again, toast untouched, phone buzzing nonstop. The reporter's voice echoes faintly from the TV. Sources claim the senator met privately with a former courthouse employee late last night. Critics allege favoritism and interference in administrative processes. You shake your head, a half-sad, half-tired smile on your lips. They always twist kindness into scandal, you mutter. Then, 3 sharp knocks. When you open the door, Rebecca stands there, hair slightly unkempt, eyes rimmed with fatigue. A trench coat thrown over what looks like yesterday's clothes. "I'm sorry," she says without preamble. They leak the memo, but cut out the last page. The one that clears you. You frown. Figures. Truth's always the first thing out the door. She exhales, stepping inside. The press is spinning this as corruption. If I stay quiet, they'll ruin your name to protect the committee. If I speak up, they'll come after me. You study her. So you're stuck between keeping your seat or clearing mine. She looks down. Pretty much, you chuckle softly. That's an easy choice, Senator. Her eyes lift. It is? Yeah, you tell the truth. Seats can be re-won. Dignity can't. The line hangs there like something older than both of you, an unspoken creed carved into the moral wood of the moment. Hours later, the senator's press conference begins. Cameras line the courthouse steps. Rain threatens again, but for now the sky holds still, gray, patient, watching. She stands at the podium, hair pulled back, folder clutched like a shield. The crowd buzzes. Journalists, officials, staffers. "Thank you for coming," she begins. "You've all seen the headlines. You've read the speculation. Let's get something straight." She flips open the folder, revealing the faded letter you found. "This," she says, "is the full record, unredacted. Mr. Elijah Harris was not fired for insubordination. He was dismissed for being inconvenient to people who preferred silence over accountability." Reporters lean forward. Cameras whir, she continues, voice gaining strength. "Mr. Harris is the same man who, over 40 years ago, saved the life of my father, Senator William Langford, during a riot that could have taken dozens more. Without him, I wouldn't be here. This city owes him far more than a paycheck." Gasps ripple through the crowd. "Today," she says, "I'm reinstating him with full honors and back pay. And more than that, our new dignity initiative will bear his name." You stand quietly at the edge of the crowd, cap in hand. A reporter swings the camera your way. "Mr. Harris," someone shouts, "how does it feel to be vindicated?" You shrug, smiling faintly. "Feels the same as it did yesterday. Floors still need mopping. Truth still matters." The crowd laughs softly, a ripple of warmth breaking through the tension. Then, from behind the press line, a voice cuts through. "Mr. Harris, is it true you turned down a settlement offer last night?" You nod. "Yep. Why?" "Because money cleans nothing," you say simply. Truth does. For a second, even the microphones seem to go silent. The senator steps down from the podium, crossing to you. "You're going to have to get used to attention," she says quietly. You grin. "Doubt it. Fame's too noisy for my taste," she chuckles, shaking her head. "You really don't want anything, do you?" You think for a moment. "A seat. Same one I gave up that day. But not for me." She raises an eyebrow. "For who?" "For anyone too tired to stand, but too proud to ask." That night, the courthouse glows under soft floodlights. The marble steps gleam from the rain. Inside, workers install a small bronze plaque at the bus stop outside the building. "Reserved seat, in honor of Elijah Harris." He stood so others could rise. People passing by stop to read it. Some nod, some smile. Some tear up quietly, not knowing the whole story but feeling the weight of it. Inside your apartment, the phone rings again. Interview requests, TV offers, speeches. You ignore them all. Instead, you hum softly while folding your uniform. Now freshly pressed, because tomorrow, you'll report to the same courthouse, not as a janitor, but as Director of Dignity Services. A title Rebecca insisted on creating. You told her you didn't want a desk. She promised you wouldn't get one. "You'll still be walking the floors," she'd said. "Just not to clean them, to remind everyone what they stand on." You like that. As the night deepens, the rain starts again, gentler now, like applause fading into peace, and somewhere in the distance, a bus engine hums. Same route. Same stop, only this time the seat in front has a name. Weeks pass, and the city slowly adjusts to the idea that a man once invisible has become its quiet symbol of grace. Everywhere you go, people nod in recognition. The bus driver who used to ignore your ticket now greets you with a grin. The coffee shop clerk slips an extra pastry into your bag. Even the courthouse guards stand a little straighter when you walk by. But you still keep the same rhythm. Up before dawn, black coffee, a walk through streets washed clean by overnight rain. You say good morning to the stray cat under the lamppost, tip your cap to the sanitation crew, and hum that same old tune, the one nobody but you seems to know. Inside the courthouse, your nameplate glints modestly on the door, Elijah Harris, Director of Dignity Services. A title that still feels like it belongs to someone else. Your office is nothing more than a converted supply closet, small window, scuffed floor, and a wooden desk that squeaks when you lean on it. But when people knock, they don't come for paperwork. They come for perspective. This morning, it's a young janitor named Luis, nervous hands, worried eyes. "Mr. Harris," he says, voice trembling. "They're saying the new budget cuts might hit maintenance again. Should we strike?" You look at him, thoughtful. Striking's easy, you say. Standing together's harder. Striking means you stop working. Standing means you keep showing the world you deserve to be seen. He nods slowly, understanding dawning in his eyes. "Like you did?" You smile faintly. "Exactly. But don't do it for me. Do it so someday you won't have to." That afternoon, Rebecca stops by your office. She's lost some of her campaign polish, hair looser, smile realer. She carries a box of old files. "You've started something," she says, setting the box down. "Other cities want to adopt the Dignity Initiative. You're trending, Elijah." You laugh. "I don't even own a smartphone." "That's probably why people trust you," she replies. "You're proof that decency doesn't need Wi-Fi." You lean back, amused. "How's your approval rating?" She groans. "Down 10 points. You raise an eyebrow. "Worth it?" She nods instantly. "Every single one." There's a pause, the kind that holds gratitude too big for words. She glances at the faded photo on your desk. Your wife, in a yellow Sunday dress, smiling like sunlight. "She'd be proud," Rebecca says softly. You clear your throat. "She always said faith's just work you do with your heart when your hands are tired." Rebecca smiles. "Then you've done a lifetime's worth." A few days later, a letter arrives. No return address, just elegant handwriting and the faint smell of old paper. You open it carefully. "Dear Mr. Harris, my name is David Langford. I'm Rebecca's son. In school they told us about you, how you saved my grandfather and helped my mom. My teacher asked us to write about a hero. I wrote about you. I hope one day I can stand for someone the way you did. David, age 10. You sit still for a long time, the letter trembling slightly in your fingers. Then you smile, slow, proud, and quietly overwhelmed. You pin it to your wall with a small tack. Right above your old uniform, outside your window, the afternoon light slants through dust motes, turning everything gold. The following Sunday, you ride the same bus again. The driver grins when you board. "You sitting or standing today, Mr. Harris?" You chuckle. "Standing's in my nature." But as the bus fills, you notice a young pregnant woman struggling to hold her grocery bags. Without thinking, you step aside, motioning to your old seat, the one with the small bronze plaque. She hesitates. "Are you sure, sir? This seat's got your name on it." You nod gently. "Names don't mean much if they keep folks from resting." She smiles, settling down gratefully. The baby kicks. A stranger nearby whispers, "That's him." You ignore it. Gaze fixed out the window as the city glides by. Cleaner somehow. Softer, like the rain washed away more than just dirt. Later that evening, the news reports on the ripple effect your story sparked. Churches holding dignity drives. Local councils passing new worker protection ordinances. A young custodian in Detroit quoted saying, "I'm not just maintenance. I maintain hope." Rebecca's voice plays over the montage. The measure of a nation isn't in its monuments, but in how it treats the hands that polish them. The camera cuts to a still photo, you and her standing together on those courthouse steps, side by side, the rain glistening behind you. For once, it's not about heroism or politics. It's about balance. The quiet kind that feels like justice finally breathing evenly again. That night, as you lock up your office, you catch your reflection in the glass, older, steadier but lighter somehow. You tap the brim of your cap and murmur, "We did all right, May." No thunder, no applause, Just the soft hum of the city at peace, and as you step out into the cool air, the bronze plaque across the street gleams faintly under the lamplight, waiting, eternal, like the memory of a man who never needed power to stand tall. The city sleeps, but the buses keep running, headlights cutting through fog, tires hissing on wet asphalt. Somewhere near 7th Avenue, bus number 42 slows at a stoplight. The same route, the same seat, the same quiet rhythm of life that once overlooked a man named Elijah Harris. Now, passengers read the bronze plaque bolted above that seat, polished by countless hands, each one tracing the engraved words like a prayer. For Elijah Harris, who stood so others could sit. A young boy asks his grandmother who he was. She smiles softly. Someone who remembered that respect don't need money, just manners. The bus jolts forward. The boy looks out the window, thoughtful. Somewhere far away, church bells ring, faint but steady. Inside the courthouse, the janitor's mop leans against the wall beside his empty desk, the air still smelling faintly of lemon polish and hope. And in that small office, under the hum of fluorescent light, a letter flutters from the wall, the one signed David, age 10. It lands face up, words glowing in the soft breeze from the window. I hope one day I can stand for someone the way you did. The light fades. The screen darkens. But the message remains. Simple, eternal, and unshakably true. Greatness doesn't always sit in power. Sometimes it stands quietly, on a crowded bus. If this story reminded you that kindness doesn't need status, it just needs courage, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Have you ever seen someone overlooked, dismissed, or talked down to, only for life to prove their worth in the most unexpected way? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might just inspire our next tale of quiet dignity and poetic justice. And here's a little challenge for our sharp-eyed viewers. There's a small moment around minute 7:18 when the senator glances down at Elijah's old bus pass that quietly hints at what he's about to do long before the plaque reveal at the end. Watch again and tell us what detail you noticed first. Only the most observant viewers will catch the tiny gesture that changed everything. Because in this city, sometimes the smallest seat holds the biggest story.